Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we will talk about data types with C#. You may be thinking, why do I have this Amazon product page on our screen? We'll take Amazon application as an example to discuss our data type scenario. So any application we use or we develop, the applications are usually all about the information. If you take an example of this Amazon web page, it is showing various type of information in this web page in different sections. For example, here we have the information of the product, which shows the product description. Then we have the information about the product pricing, then the seller information, when the delivery will be, expected delivery will be available, warranty of the product, and so on. Also, and at the left side of the application, we have the information about the application web page, my current address. Then you have the information about my own account, my order, shopping cart list, and so on. So it's all about the information which this application is trying to consume or trying to display to you as a user. Any application you use in general is all about information only, whether it takes an information from you or it persists the information from the system to any persistent database, or it displays the information or transform information from one source to one system to another system. This information can be of any type. For example, the product information or the description information is an alphanumeric type, as it contains the numerical values as well as some text values as well as the text value. Similarly, the pricing value is having the number system, which could be a decimal or the float type of value. Then you have the numerical values such as the pin code or the warranty period. Then you have the date time values, which is basically displaying when this is going to be available for delivery. So there are variety of different type of information application consists and it uses, and this type of information is known as a data type. So like any other language, C# also offers variety of different data types which you can use in your program to persist the information in your system or within your application for the time in which the application is running. Now if I go to the Microsoft website, it has number of built-in data types available which you can use. For example, we have the data type as in Boolean. So anything you want to store related to a flag such as true or false value, you can make use of Boolean type of data type. Similarly, if you would like to store a very small number which ranges between the 0 to 256 in length, then you can make use of byte type of data type. Then you have a signed byte type which help you allowing byte values ranging between -128 to +127. Again, the limit is in total is going to be 256, but it has numerical values as well. Then you have a character data type which shows that if you would like to store a single character information within your program, then you can make use of this data type. Moving ahead, you have a decimal data type, double, float data type. So basically these three types allows you to store anything which you would like to store as in decimal type of values such as salary, price, and all those sort of values which you can store here. Moving on, you have the integer, unassigned integer, and then long, unassigned long, short, unassigned short. All these type of value allows you to store numerical values into your system. Now the question could be, why do we have these many different type of values or different type of data types? Well, depending upon the requirement of your program, the amount of data or the information it requires to store, you should be choosing the specific type of data. For example, if my application is required to store the gender of a person, then the information of the gender I can store it with a single character. For an instance, M for male, F for female, U for unknown. With having the one single character, I can choose the data type as in char to store and to display this information. Similarly, if I would like to store the age value for a person, then age can be displayed within the minimalistic possible data type, which could be byte in this case. Now, why do I use the minimalistic possible way or possible data type? Well, any built-in data type when you use in your program, the way built-in data type works, they store the values of the data type directly into the memory of your system. So depending upon the type of data you choose or you define in your program, the system or your program will allocate that much of memory in your system. For example, if I use a byte type of data type, then it will allocate a byte of memory into my system. If I use a Boolean type of data type, then it will use a single bit of memory into the system. So it is going to be lightest possible way of storing the information. Similarly, if I use the integer, then it will use 8 byte of memory into the system. So whether now you use that 8 byte of memory or not, your system will allocate that much of memory. Your program will allocate that much of memory into the system, and that will reduce the overall memory allocation, which can be utilized by other processes running on your system. As a negative example, if I would, let's say, want to store the age value of a person, and if I store it in a long type of value which will allocate 64 byte of the memory into the system, then in that case the application will not be working efficiently, as unnecessary we are using the 64 byte of memory for just storing a number which can be range between 0 to 100, for example. And that is the reason it is very important for you to meaningful type of data type. And with a 16 GB of RAM, 8 core processor, this is not going to impact a lot. But think about a large application which is getting used across the different hundreds thousands of users. In that case, the application might be having hundreds of thousands of variables, and those variables are allocating the memories into the system, and that will impact the system overall. So it is very important for you to understand this concept of the data type and how and when to use these data types. Apart from this value type which we have discussed, we also have some reference type of data type. So these are the three which are listed down here. So we have object data type, which is the superior class of system of objects. So any class, structure, or anything like that you create, these are object, this goes under the object type of data type. After that, you have the string type of data type, which is a reference type, and these data types are derived from system.string. Now the difference between the reference type and object type, like I said, value type store the value directly into the memory depending upon the memory allocation which has been chosen or allocated to a specific data type. it will store the value directly into the memory, whereas the reference type basically holds store the reference of the variable value into the memory, and the actual value will be stored somewhere else. So, and that is the reason the value types are basically faster in compared to the reference type. So whenever it is possible, you should be using the value type of data type. So just to give an example, we should not be storing the gender information into a, which is a single character information, to a string type of data type, because it's going to be a reference type and it will again slow down the application. Similarly, age, we should not be storing it as a string again or as an object again, though the compiler, C# compiler will not complain about it, but we should not be doing that. Now to declare these data types in the C# program, what you can do is you can declare it like this. Give it the name of the data type, for example byte, and then you can define the value of the byte. Similarly, I can say character, and that has to be defined with a single character. Now with C#, once your line of statement overs, you have to complete the statement with the help of comma. I can also declare the integer value as in like this. Now all of these data types are basically value type. And why it is value type? Because these are defined as in structure type instead of the class types. If I mouse over on all of these, you will see that the definition, as it says, that it is a structure type. Now let's go to the definition of these, and that will have the information like public structure and then the byte, and this is the maximum value, this is the minimum value of the byte type. Similarly, if I go to the character or the integer type, this is the maximum value of the integer type, this is the minimum value of the integer type, which contains the values from minus number. So these are the structure type and value type of data type which are getting stored. Similarly, I could have a reference type as in a string, let's say name. So if we go to the definition of the string type, this is going to be a class type. So if you look at the difference between the two data type, earlier we used to have a structure type, but now as it is a reference type, here we have a type as in class, which is again deriving from. So that's the difference we have. I hope this has given you some idea of using or defining these different data types into your program. In our next section, we'll talk about the type conversion of the data type with C#.